can't come to the phone right now. I'm listening to Party Talk Podcast.
How's it going, everybody? It's our first baseball podcast of the year. So me and Coop thought we'd start ranking players at each different positions. And today we're going to start off with our left fielders. So Cooper, since I'm the better looking of the two of us, we're going to let you go first pick. And we decided not to place Jordan Alvarez or Kyle Schwarber. We're going to put those guys as DHs so we get another podcast in there. So with your first pick, who do you got, Coop?
Yeah, well, I just want to preface that we're each doing our own individual predictions. This isn't just a list of totally offense or totally defense. I based mine off of a mixture of both, mostly offensive heavy players, but I did mix in a little defense in there. You can kind of explain your picks when it's your turn, but my number one left fielder is going to be Juan Soto. Juan Soto is someone that I regard as probably the best hitter in the entire league. While his stint in San Diego wasn't as what many hoped it would have been, but if we take a little deeper look at Juan Soto in 2023, and then I'll kind of talk about what I expect for 2024. So in 2023, you could say it was underwhelming, but he had 97 runs, 156 hits, 35 home runs, 108 RBIs, 132 walks. He hit with the batting average of 275. He had a 410 on base percentage and a 930 OPS. That is an amazing season. Let's just kind of take a look at what it would have looked like if he played outside of San Diego. So if we take a look at his splits, it's obviously even. He played half the games in San Diego, half the games away. So playing at home, he had only 12 home runs, 45 RBIs. He had 66 hits. His batting average was 240 at home. That's pretty bad. He got on base below 400%. His slugging was 429, and his OPS was 827, which is still pretty good. And then let's take a look at his away splits. These are games that he played away from San Diego. He hit 307. His on-base percentage was 422. He slugged 604. His OPS was 1,026. He had 23 home runs, almost double what he had at home. He had 64 RBIs. He had almost 30 more hits on the road. And, he signed with the Yankees. And with all this in mind, he's going to be my AL MVP pick this year. I'm going to be placing a bet on him. I think he'll win AL MVP, and yeah, he's my number one left fielder. Who you got at number 2, Chris?
Where's that?
All right, I'm going to take Corbin Carroll. I'm going to take last year's Rookie of the Year with the second pick. I agree Soto's going to have a great year playing that little park in New York. And it's also contract year, so I think Carroll's going to take a bigger step forward. He had 25 home runs, 54 stolen bases last year. He also had 116 runs and 76 RBIs. I think he had a couple shoulder injuries. I remember that first one he went down, and I thought he was out for the year, but I think he only missed a couple games, and he came back again. But if he stays in that 3 spot in the order, I can see those RBI totals just soaring. And they got a good team out there. JD Martinez isn't batting behind them, but I'm sure they're going to pick up somebody to knock in some runs.
Yeah. It was hard to make this list because if you guys remember the episode, we did our early predictions of 2024 last year, like when we were doing postseason rankings, and Corbin Carroll was my NL MVP pick. So, 1 and 2, we got 2 MVP picks on my side. But
left fielders will be stacked. But so I get the third pick too?
Yep, you do. Who you got third?
2 and 3. We're going with Randy Rosarena. This former St. Louis Cardinal. every time I think there's no way he's going to repeat, he just keeps doing it year after year after year. I mean, he does have a lot of talent, but I think there's a lot of swing and miss in that swing of his. But right now, he's projected number 34, the 34th player off the draft picks. And he's gone 20-20 the last 3 years. And he brought his batting average up last year to 274. So he's starting to move that in the right direction. Had career high in OBP, slugging, OPS, and BABIP. So I think he's finally he's come around. I'm finally a believer, I think, in him and his former Redbird. So with third pick, I'm taking Randy Arozarena.
Yeah, I like Randy. I don't know why he doesn't steal more. I was expecting last year for him to steal, maybe 30 bases, because I think he had close to 20 last year or 2 years ago. So, with the stolen base increases across the league, I was expecting him to steal more. But Randy Arozarena is a great player, and I think that's a good pick for number 3.
That could be on the coach too. Kevin Cash might just tell him to slow things down and let somebody else bat him in. But all right, Coop, you're off with the next 2 picks.
Yep. So I get the next 2 picks. At number 4, I'm going to take Christian Yelich. He's been one of my favorite players in the league. He had a great bounce back season last season. One of his best offensive seasons since his 2018, 2019 MVP days. So last season he almost went 20 home runs, 30 steals. I think he repeats or even plays a little bit better this season. The only thing I'm kind of concerned of is he might steal less bases now that they have a new head coach there. I'm not sure how that's all going to work out, but, I love Christian Yelich. He's always had an ability, if he stays healthy, to be, one of the top outfielders in the league. So I'm going to take him number 4. And then with the 5th pick, I'm going to take Brian Reynolds. The man, he seems to get tossed around in, trade rumors every single season, but nothing happens. I honestly think the Pirates could be a sneaky good team. Now, they're probably going to finish second to last in the Central, but I think they're going to be better than they have in, the past 5 seasons. I really like Brian Reynolds. I wouldn't be surprised. Brian Reynolds has always been a pretty solid player. With the more talented Pirates lineup, I think his counting stats will go up as well. So I think he's going to get 150 hits. He's going to hit with the OPS 800. He's going to get his 20 homers, and I think he could steal some more bags. So I'll take him number 5. Who you got as your 6th best left fielder, Chris?
Oh man, I'm so excited. I hate to admit it, but I almost popped a stiffy when you let Chaz drop to me. Yep. Miracle Man. Just call me the Miracle Man. Okay, we got Dusty Baker. He gone. So Chaz, he's going to get more at bats. Last year he went 20-20, missed it by 1 stolen base. But he only did that in 400 at bats. And Dusty doesn't like young players. He likes proven guys. He put Brantley out there for some reason. The guy's like 38 years old or something. But so if you pencil him in for 600 at bats, I can see 30 homers, 30 stolen bases, and a ton of RBIs in that lineup. I just snagged him in my 30-team league this year. And from the first place team, because his team was so stacked, I got him for a 2nd-round draft pick in this upcoming draft. So I'm real excited about him. I get weekly trade requests for him. This whole league wants him, and I got him for a 2nd-round pick. I think they just did MLB just did their left fielders, the top 10. I think he was like a number 5. So that's huge for him. So I like to think Chaz Stiffy McCormick is his new nickname, Stiffy. So I get next pick too?
Yeah, you do.
All right, man. I like this, man. Another young stud coming up. This guy helped me win my league last year. Nolan Jones of the Colorado Rockies. He broke out in the second half. First half was terrible. He's a former prospect, only had 5 homers and 14 RBIs the first half. I mean, that's terrible. I can't believe he's even playing. He should have sent him down to minors with those stats. But I think there's an injury on the outfield, and so he started. It's probably Bryant, the Cubs. What's his name? Bryant.
Chris Bryant.
Yeah, Chris Bryant. That's my name, Chris. I should know that. The second half, he hit 301, 15 homers, 48 RBIs, and 15 stolen bases, all in the second half. That's like a good year for a lot of guys. He finished 2020 for the year, 7 homers and 12 stolen bases the final month of the year to bring me home another championship in the farm league. So I can see 30-30 for this guy also. So those are 2 great picks. I mean, I'm going to pat myself on the back for those 2.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Nolan Jones. So,
You get the 8th and 9th pick now.
I get the 8th and 9th. The talent's starting to go down a little bit.
Yeah, there's a big drop.
I like my 8th pick. I'm going to go Stephen Kwan. This is going to be the first kind of contact and speed-oriented player on the list. The value Stephen Kwan brings to the Guardians is insane. He's one of the best contact hitters in the entire league. If you kind of look at his underlying stats, he's 100th percentile in whiff percentage and 98th percentile in K rate. If you also look at his underlying stats, it shows he's top of the league in range and base running value. It's kind of stuff you won't see on a normal stat sheet, but if you look at the underlying numbers, he brings a lot of value on the bases, and he doesn't strike out that much. He gets on base. I expect him to get 20+ steals this year, bat probably 290-ish, maybe 300, and he's going to get his 100 runs, and I expect him to have more walks than strikeouts this season. That's my bold prediction, so I'll take Stephen Kwan at number 8. And number 9, I'm going to take Brandon Nimmo. I'm not a big fan of Brandon Nimmo, but I think he deserves to be on this list within the top 10. I actually like your pick after me a little better, but I'm going to play it safe and take Nimmo. He's just an all-around good hitter. He consistently gets 150 hits, 20 home runs. He gets on base at a really high rate, above average. And I'll take him safely at number 9.
So I'm up next. The final pick in our left fielder draft, I'm going with Evan Carter of the Texas Rangers. This 21-year-old future star came up September call-ups, and yes, I did pick him up on my farm league to take me to the championship. Did I mention that yet, Coop? Little did anybody know he would help propel the Texas Rangers to a World Series victory. Most predictions have him for about 20 homers, 15 stolen bases this year. But with that lineup and him batting in the 3 or 5 hole, I think he's going to add quite a few more RBIs and runs to go with those numbers. He does struggle against lefties, so it is possible a platoon might happen, but I'm not too worried about it. Anybody else you're out there thinking about?
Yeah, so we have some honorable mentions. Before we get into those honorable mentions, let's talk about one player who we think will be in the top 10 next year if we do these rankings. So the player who I honestly debated putting in over Brandon Nimmo is my favorite player. I want to name my future kid after him, Lars Nootbaar, baby. He's a stud. He had some weird injuries last season that it might have propelled him into the list if he played a whole healthy season. If you kind of look at his underlying stats, they're crazy. His walk percentage is 95th percentile. That's top of the league. His chase rate is 98th percentile. He doesn't chase at bad pitches. His whiff rate is up there in 88th percentile. He's a very above average outfielder with his range, his arm. And then he's just an overall good player. His expected batting average is above average as well. And I think he'll make the top 10 next year. And I could even see him top 7, top 5 maybe. So yeah, Lars Nootbaar's. I think he's going to make it next year.
Well, you took mine. I was going with Lars too. And I like that name. So if you're not going to pick Chris Jr., go with Lars, I guess. How about Wyatt Langford?
Mm.
Just fresh out of college, out of Florida State. I picked him in my 30-team league last year as a draft pick. I had no idea who this guy was. And I think I took him like the 8th or 9th round. I had double picks that round. So I said, I'm going to take somebody with a lot of potential. And so I started following him. He had a fantastic sophomore year. His junior year, he got beaten right in the balls. He missed a month, and I was all worried about him. And he did come back, finished the year strong. The team went to the College World Series. They didn't win it, but I got to see him in live a few times, and I liked what I saw. And all the predictions on him for next year are top 3 prospects coming up. You got Holiday, you got the guy for the Brewers. What's his name? Chorizo.
Jackson Chourio.
Yeah, Jackson Chourio, 2, and Wyatt Langford. Those 3 are kind of intermingled amongst each other. So I'm not sure if he's going to play left field. Right now they're talking about playing DH, or they might just kind of do a rotation and give one of their outfielders, one of the other players, a day off and just kind of move the guys around. So I can see Wyatt Langford maybe making top 5. And who he reminds me of is Mike Trout. Solidly built. He's got speed. He's got power. Nickname would be Baby Trout from now on.
There we go.
That's what I got.
That's a pretty bold prediction. Maybe
if anybody in the farm league's listening, cut that piece out, please.
Maybe in a couple weeks we'll kind of talk a little about fantasy baseball. I know me and you are in the same league. We finish first and second, usually interchangeable. But just kind of touching on fantasy baseball, there is a player he's starting to remind me of, last draft season. It's Jordan Walker, because you get the rumblings that he's gonna make the team opening day. He probably won't get drafted in a lot of leagues, but if he has a good spring training, I could see him shoot up to a top 100 picks just because that ceiling's there. Like, you kind of compared him to a Baby Trout, and yeah, I like that. So, is there any honorable mentions that you kind of want to talk about at all, or is the list pretty horrid?
Yeah, there's some out there. I mean, you got Ward of the Angels. He did pretty good last year. Then he got hurt, kind of slowed down a little bit. Dalton Varsho of the Toronto Blue Jays. I think he was a better player when he had catcher eligibility. They took that away from him, so he's just an outfielder. I mean, there's a lot of young studs on that team, so he kind of gets lost in the shuffle, I think. You got Yoshida, Ian Happ. Those couple other guys I remember.
Yeah. Yoshida and Happ were 2 that I considered with my last pick that I had. More Yoshida, but he's more of just a one-sided contact player, and I like the defense of Quan anyways. But yeah, that's our rankings of our top 10 left fielders for this upcoming season. And next week we'll be back with some more rankings. What do we want to do, Chris? We thinking center field, or you want to switch to infield position?
No, let's fish our outfielders.
All right. So next week we'll do our top 10 center fielders for 24 season. Guys, it's time to get excited. We're less than a month away from spring training. I can't stop looking on the calendar to see if we're getting closer and closer. So
also less than a month away from having a baby.
Yep. Could be tomorrow. We'll see.
No. We got to wait for us to come home for the weekend.
Yeah. All right. Well, that'll do it for the Party Talk podcast. We'll catch you guys next time.